So Sam Allardyce is under investigation by the FA and goals galore over the weekend. All this on the weekend recap coming up next. What's up guys, and welcome to JNO United, bringing the best in football news, entertainment and games. And today we have the weekend recap for you, and there were so many goals, so much news to go over. I have no idea how long this episode is going to be. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, smash that thumbs up button for the weekend recap, and let's get on with the show. And we're going to start with Sam Allardyce and the investigation into him, that he's agreed a £400,000 deal to represent and help a firm from the Far East regarding details of transfers and that third-party ownership thing that if you play Football Manager you'll know about, but you may not know too much about it otherwise. Now, third-party ownership is when an agent or a company own the commercial rights of a player. So if you're buying that player, you also need to pay that company to purchase the player, or you need to understand that that company still owns part of the player even though you have bought him off of another club. Now, it's a lot more complicated than that, but that is the basics. And the biggest historical moment about that would be Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano with their transfers to West Ham. Now, basically, Sam Allardyce was in a meeting with two people who pretended they were part of a firm but were actually undercover reporters. And in this interview, Sam Allardyce agreed to represent the company and speak at certain meetings and give him advice for a fee of just under £500,000, £400,000. And in that meeting, he told these two people that there were ways around third-party ownership. Now, if you didn't know, the FA actually banned third-party ownership deals in England in 2008, and the World Football Governing Body FIFA banned it in May. So it is completely banned now as far as FIFA and the FA are concerned. But Allardyce in this interview apparently said that it's not a problem to bypass this rule, and that he knew of agents that were still doing it all the time right now. Now, Enner Valencia was the example brought up by Sam Allardyce. He was bought in 2014. Now, apparently he was a player that had third-party ownership on him, and West Ham bought him outright whole. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm no expert on this, so don't quote me. I don't know if the FA ban you buying a player that is owned by a third party as well as another club, or if you just can't do it once you bought the player. So it could be completely legal that Enner Valencia was bought whole, which completely nullifies the third party ownership. But either way, this coming out right now just after he's got the England job means the FA are going to be investigating him, and it could mean, if he has been doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, that he loses his job, which of course will be catastrophic for England, because it means we'll have to find a new manager who will bring in a new style, and the last couple of months would have been pointless. Apparently he also said the FA should never have rebuilt Wembley, and also said bad things about Gary Neville. So it's all not looking that great for Sam Allardyce, and it's not something he needs when he's going to be naming his first World Cup qualifying squads this weekend or just after. But enough about that, and let's get on to the results. And we're starting off with the Man United versus Leicester game, and Leicester seemed to just collapse in that first half. The end result was 4-1. Leicester did manage to get a goal back with Demarai Gray, who scored a cracker of a goal, but Leicester just showed that they were really weak defensively against crosses and corners, which is a surprise when you've got someone like Robert Huth and someone like Wes Morgan as your two centre-backs. And for Man U's third goal, they were caught asleep when it was a simple near post along the floor cross, which completely caught them all off guard, and Mata just put it into Rashford in the box. It was just too simple for Man United to score. Pogba looked really good in the game, but now is the question is he going to be one of those players that goes on and off, hot and cold during the season? Because he looked really good in this game, but he's been a bit disappointing in previous games. I think it's too early to judge. Maybe he just needs to get used to English football again, but he definitely looked good against Leicester. And despite the fact Ibra didn't get on the score sheet, he still looked like a threat. I know a lot of people have dropped him in fantasy football recently, but he still looks like he could be a goal scoring threat this season. Just people are going to be looking elsewhere when you get blanks like he has been. We then move on to the other Manchester City club who went to the Liberty Stadium, and the scoreline was Swansea 1 and Man City 3. Now don't get me wrong, Swansea actually played some decent football, and it could have gone differently if Swansea had managed to get a second goal. But when you have as much firepower as Man City have, there's always the likelihood that even if you are on equal footing with them in a game, they will suddenly score 1 or 2 and you're suddenly behind 3-1. But the points I would like to point out is that penalty, what was Horn doing to give that penalty to Man City? It was a stupid challenge, arm in the air for no reason, got the penalty, and Aguero put it away with ease. And then Raheem Sterling finally scored what looked like a good goal. That was all him. He got the ball, run down towards goal, tricked the defender, went round him with a step over and scored in the near post. Actually looking like a confident, capable finisher. If we have more of that, then Sterling will start to impress me and I'll start to hate him less. But despite the fact I hate him, I'm still happy because he's in my fantasy football side. Moving on to the Arsenal-Chelsea game, and I actually watched this one in a pub for my friend's birthday, and he's a Chelsea fan, so it wasn't the greatest start to his birthday ever. And it must have been painful to watch because Chelsea's defence was woeful, which isn't something you'd expect from a Conte side. It was so bad that at times they seemed amateurish, and don't get me wrong, Arsenal were really good going forward, were pressing, were playing very quick, attacking football, and the passes were just sublime. But Chelsea definitely didn't help himself with their defensive performance at all. And Gary Cahill was error prone for the first and the third goal. For the third goal, nobody followed Özil's run once he played it off to Sanchez. David Luiz kind of half-heartedly went towards Sanchez, and Cahill just stayed in the middle while Özil peeled off round the back, which meant he was just free to have that volley on goal and score. But speaking of Arsenal, Alexis Sanchez could become the forward that Arsenal have been looking for a while. Now I know they've just bought Lucas Perez recently, they've got Giroud, Welbeck is probably on a stretcher somewhere, he's out that often. Alexis Sanchez maybe just needed time to develop in this role as a striker for the club. He looked good, pressing, attacking, everything you wanted in an Arsenal forward. He is starting to become that player that they may need to win a league. Now we all know he is capable of scoring lots of goals, but if he's played up front and he continues on with this form, he could drive them towards a title. I emphasise could because Liverpool and Man City are both doing very well, but if he keeps on going this way, he could be the striker that they've been looking for this whole time. Speaking of sides that have been doing well, Liverpool absolutely thrashed Hull. It was a great performance by them, with the only negative being another Liverpool slip-up in defence, which allowed Hull to score 1. And for the second consecutive game, Hull City managed to get another handball in there. They seem to like getting their handballs into games at the moment. I don't hate Hull though, I promise. Out of all the players in that team though, Lallana has really stepped up his game recently and impressed me in that game. Coutinho looked good, but he has looked good for a while now. Firmino looked good but didn't get on the score sheet, and Milner is looking very good in his role at the club now as a left back. A quick look at some other results, and the Middlesbrough Tottenham game, Heung-min Son is looking really good at the moment. I don't know if he just needed to adapt to the league, but suddenly he's come into the side and he started performing really, really well, which has given Pochettino a headache of who to play in midfield in which games, but I'm sure it's a headache he's enjoying having to figure out. And then we have the Bournemouth-Everton game, which ended 1-0 to Bournemouth. Bournemouth showing resilience and a great defensive performance, as well as Junior Stanislas. What a goal, son. By the way, if you didn't know, I'm doing a FIFA series, The Journey with Alex Hunter, at Bournemouth, so hopefully we'll see some Stanislas goals like that in that series. And then finally, I left it till last because I didn't really want to talk about it, but we have the West Ham-Southampton game. Of course, Southampton won 3-0. West Ham's defence. The positioning is awful. The wingers don't come back and help out the defence. It's just all over the place. There's so many bad things you could say about that defence. Southampton played well. They really did. They took full advantage of the fact that our defenders were all over the place. They found the space. Cedric and Ryan Bertrand just pinned us back. Keep running down the line. Their heat map showed as many touches in our half as in their own. Austin looked good. Everyone in that Southampton side knew what their job was. Everyone in the West Ham side didn't know what their job was as far as defending is concerned. We had a small period where we did threaten to score. Zaza blatant dive. I'm a West Ham kind of fan. I'm an AFC fan, but I do like West Ham because of my wife. Zaza, that was just stupid. Why dive there like that? You could have maybe created a chance if you tried to stay on your feet. As for the handball, it probably should have been given as a penalty, but to be honest, we didn't deserve to win the game, so maybe it would have been 2-3-1 instead of 3-0. But West Ham really need to sort their defence out, and I think the main problem is our wingers do not track runs at all. They'll be with a man, that man will make a run. Antonio and Payet do not track runs, which suddenly leaves the defenders with someone running at them, and also the player that they were probably marking, which just causes confusion. But even then, the defence isn't looking that good to deal with those kind of situations anyway. So Bilic is under a lot of pressure right now, and he needs to make something happen. He really does. Antonio at right back again for a little bit. Please don't. Just please don't. Just don't do it. Anyway, I think that's enough about the West Ham performance. Hopefully Slaven Bilic can get it all sorted out. But other than that, it was a great weekend of football. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I've been JNO. You guys have been awesome as always. And remember, it's all about the game.